And we begin with breaking news. Iran has apparently launched a missile attack on Israel. Here is live video from the area. Israel is at 7 hours ahead of us. Right now it is 8 p.m. there. This footage shows rockets falling on Israel today. The IDF tweeted that all Israeli civilians are now in bomb shelters. Just hours ago, the U.S. said that it believed an attack by Iran may be imminent and warned that such an attack would result in severe consequences. Yesterday, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu issued a warning to Iran, which backs Hezbollah and Hamas, saying, quote, "There is nowhere in the Middle East Israel cannot reach." Defense Minister Bill Blair reacted to the news in Ottawa.
We are following the news reports and speaking to the Americans about the steps that they are taking, concerned about a missile launch. I know people of Israel have been told to shelter in place, and then there are legitimate concerns, I think, about an escalation of violence in the region.
And for more on the latest developments from the Middle East, we are now joined live by CTV military analyst, retired Major General David Fraser. We have to talk about this. Iran to launch 240 to 250 missiles at 4 targets in Israel. This has already begun. Let's start with your reaction.
Well, but and listen, this is a huge escalation in the war. And, you know, in some ways it's a bit surprising that Iran would attack so quickly after, you know, what has happened to them in the past with the Israel attacking and killing the Hamas leader in Iran and no response. So for this to happen, is indicative of just how degraded and how much hurt there's going on with the Hezbollah that Iran is actually firing missiles at Israel. So this is a huge escalation, and certainly we have a different war now.
And how does this put this in perspective regarding the tit for tat with the ground invasion of the villages close to the border with Israel the first time since 2006?
Well, I think what this is now indicating is that, you know, Israel was going in after Hezbollah positions that were, you know, able to strike into Israel. And this is a follow-up to the air attacks that have been happening the last couple of days. But the fact that Iran has now fired missiles into Israel is suggestive that, you know, Hezbollah doesn't have a lot of capability. And we should expect now is Israel is going to start shooting back at Iran in some shape or form. So this now is, you know, we could actually be seeing Israel fighting Iran directly, and that's worrisome. And
Major General, we are looking at live footage right now of this air attack. This is video. We have to also talk about the global response to this and the escalation of not only rhetoric but action.
Absolutely. I mean, what we're seeing right now is the Iron Dome intercepting these missiles coming in against Israel. And, you know, and the fear will be is what is the United States going to do as a result of this? You know, certainly Israel is going to be asking for the United States for support against this attack by Iran. And will the United States actually support Israel by doing something, by shooting back into Iran? And, you know, this is the fear that I think, you know, many of the American leaders were worried about, that getting dragged into a war that they didn't want. So the next couple hours and days are going to be extremely crucial to see whether or not what happens. Do we de-escalate from this, or does this take us to a new level of danger? And Hezbollah almost becomes a supporting effort while the world watches what does it do with Iran.
I'd like for you to elaborate on that. Please be, you know, as explicit as possible. What do you see happening next?
Well, I actually see, you know, Israel now going to launch either missile attacks or air attacks into Iran to respond to this because, you know, they're defending their nation. And the prime minister was very clear that he told the world. He told the Israelis, and he sent a message off to Iran. We can strike anywhere, and you attack us, we'll reply in like way. So we're going to see, you know, Israel do something, and probably the United States will probably be working overtime to try to de-escalate the situation. But United States is going to probably come out in support of Israel and their right to defend themselves, especially against an attack from Iran. And, now we'll certainly see something from Israel, but do we see something more than just political de-escalation words from United States? And the danger is they'll be there to support Israel by protecting them with another attack like this, maybe shooting down Iranian missiles.
And then drilling down even further, let's talk about the civilians who are on the ground, caught up on all of this.
Well, I mean, exactly. And there's lots to unpackage there. I mean, first of all, in Lebanon, you've got, the civilians that are living in amongst the Hezbollah positions. You've got people living in Beirut. There's over 1 million people now displaced inside of Lebanon because of what's going on here. They're innocent people, and they're going to get caught up in this fight. And then you look at the Israelis and the innocent people that we're seeing right now underneath that shower of missiles and counter missiles attacking. We are now got a lot of innocent people now involved in this fight. This is just much what we've been seeing in Gaza, but now the whole region seems to be engaged in a much broader fight as a result of what we're watching today. And
you mentioned the U.S. What should Canada's response be?
Well, Canada's being very clear in this that, Israel's got the right of self-defense and, they should be protecting themselves against attacks from Hezbollah and whatnot. And I don't think, this attack from Iran is going to change the position of Canada whatsoever. Canada's going to say Israel's got the right to defend itself from Iran. And, they will do, using the UN to try to de-escalate this. But really, we don't have anything other than diplomatic means to try to de-escalate this, but we will come out undoubtedly in support of Israel because they've been attacked.
And, given the status quo of where we are right now, what does this do to the geopolitical climate?
It is as destabilized and as fragile as it ever has been. And the fact that Iran is firing right at Israel, in the volume that we're seeing right now, is particularly disturbing and dangerous. And, if politicians don't start talking about de-escalation and trying to slow this thing down, we could actually find ourselves in, much like a war that we've seen in Gaza and what we're seeing at the beginning in Lebanon, but with actors we don't want to see engaged. And that would be Iran, Israel, and, who knows, maybe in the United States.
And Major General, for people here watching this, as we look at this with you, they have relatives on both sides in the Middle East. What do you have to say?
Well, first of all, if you're in Lebanon, much like all the governments have been saying, you've got to get out. The air routes are probably packed right now, but if you can get out by sea or by land and going across the bridge over into Syria or somewhere else, I mean, the idea is to get away from this fighting. If you're in Israel, again, there's not much you can do because, all the neighbors now are fighting against you. But, for everybody is to shelter in place, get into spots where, you can protect yourselves from missiles and attacks like this. But life has changed as of now.
And I do have to ask, did you see this coming?
I mean, I'm a little surprised by just the magnitude of what Iran has done so quickly after, what has been going on with Hezbollah. My initial response would have been I would have seen something coming out of Hezbollah first and then with Iran. But, Iran has certainly upped the ante here by attacking in this way, which might be indicative of just how much damage Israel has done on Hezbollah, that Iran has no choice but to try to reestablish some sort of equilibrium here. But I think it's indicative that Israel has done a great job of degrading Hezbollah, but at the same token, now we've got Iran firing missiles at them, which is yet another level that we're going to have to contend with and talk about for the days and the weeks and months to come.
Are we on the brink of something larger, or do you see a viable de-escalation here?
We're on the brink right now because no one's talking. So all we can talk about is what we see, and what we see are missiles going back and forth. And this is as dangerous as you get because it's Iran and Israel. Until the prime minister talks, until a leader inside of Iran talks, and the United States is talking, I can't answer that question. It would be sheer speculation. But right now, I think all three countries are now trying to figure out what is their next move, because this is certainly a serious escalation and probably the most dangerous thing that we've seen so far.
So what is that conversation that Prime Minister Trudeau should have?
Well, I think, our prime minister will be talking to the United States, so we'll be talking to the UN, maybe even talking to the prime minister of Israel to say, hey, look, we're there to support you because you've been attacked. We'll come out in support of you and say to the world that, we should start looking at de-escalatory measures and whatnot, tell Iran to stop doing this, so we don't have what you were suggesting is a wider war in the region. But we haven't heard of any of the leaders just yet, and this is unfolding as we speak. And the danger is, this could just get out of control, and that nobody wants that.
Major General, as we wrap up, what are your final words to our audience and also political leaders?
Well, first of all, everyone should be thinking about the, families and innocent people in the region, both in Lebanon and Israel, and the danger and just the sheer terror that they must be going through, looking at our leaders to say, what can we do to de-escalate this? If the Iranians are ever paying attention, they got to stop firing and not turn this into a real, regional war. And for Israel is, if there's any way that they can slow this down and de-escalate it, I think it's in everyone's interest.
Okay, CTV military analyst, retired Major General David Fraser, thank you very much for your time and your insight this afternoon.
Good to be with you. Thank you.